Hey folks, my name's Christoph, and we're doing something a little different today. Usually Mac handles this, but well, he's not available right now, off doing whatever it is Mac does, so it's just me, and I'm here to walk you through something special. Today I'm ranking every single Game of the Year winner from the Game Awards from 2014 to 2024. Here, I'll be counting down from what I consider to be the weakest Game of the Year to the best, all of which I've played and beaten, even if it's been a while for some. To be clear, weakest doesn't mean bad. They're all great games, but something has to be at the bottom of the list. And of course, this ranking is entirely my personal opinion, so feel free to disagree. Anyway, let's get started. Let's start off this list with number 11. This is going to probably make some people mad, but it's Overwatch. The first Overwatch released in 2016, and that year it won. Surprisingly, this was a year that had some pretty interesting stuff like Uncharted 4 and Titanfall 2, so it was kind of cool to see a shooter win. Overwatch was just a really good shooter. It is undeniable. It made a lot of people happy. It got a lot of non-gamers into gaming. It did appeal to a wide variety of people, and they did keep adding new maps, more heroes, all new stuff for a long period of time. And it was a special game for a while. The strategy of certain character powers, the consistency of the art style and the world, and just the fact that it felt so dynamic for how everyone played differently and how they combined, it was just really smart stuff. It can be fun by yourself, but it's infinitely more fun with friends or a good team. And the reason it is at the bottom of the list is because I don't think it stacks up when you just think about the Game of the Year winners, where you get like these critically acclaimed games. That's not to say Overwatch isn't, but they are, these big impactful narrative experiences, or these big long RPGs, or these massive games, these huge accomplishments. And Overwatch, it's good, but it's also multiplayer only. It doesn't really have the presentation or story or like the gameplay variety as some of the other games higher in this list. And it kind of sucks on our list because Overwatch 1, technically you can't really play anymore because it's been removed and replaced with Overwatch 2. I don't love that idea. I don't love that philosophy. And I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but it feels weird, especially because I think Overwatch 1 has a more positive legacy than how people feel about Overwatch 2 at least. Like I said, it's weird, but if you are a player, you're still playing this type of game. And like I said, it was definitely innovative, packed with content, and a good time. Now moving on to number 10, we have Dragon Age Inquisition. This is where we got our first winner here. In 2014, this Dragon Age won Game of the Year. And I think over time, history, if you follow this stuff, people were like, that one won, because I feel like we just didn't hear a lot of people talking about it, right? And it's definitely a good game, but I do think it's a little less special than the games we're talking about later in this video. And I say that as a big BioWare fan. I've played just about all of them, and I think this is definitely like not one of their strongest. It's good, but when you think about the legacy of so many BioWare games, the relationships with the characters, the way they laid out a customized narrative, good action, and interesting settings, I don't think this one sets the world on fire nor their fan base. Now, it does have some people who really love it. It does have a little bit of a hardcore following, but I think ultimately the consensus, at least from us here, is that it was good but not great. There were some genius moments. They tried to push the series with like a bigger open world, a more like adventurous type of experience. They tried different stuff with combat, and it was fun, it worked, but some of that stuff was a little misaligned. And I think ultimately it's just the story itself. The experience wasn't quite BioWare's best. It did win a lot of awards. It ranked very highly everywhere. I mean, even like their awards other than Game of the Year were like best game and role-playing, best gameplay. Like it was definitely an achievement on some level. But it's just kind of a roadblock in that era. Well, at least for me. Now next at number 9, in 2021, It Takes Two takes the crown. This is a co-op video game, the strictly co-op video game from the studio that has been positively cranking out games. They did the prison escape co-op game, A Way Out, and before that they've been working on things like Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons, all these games that have kind of like split up stuff. And It Takes Two is definitely the most realized of them, the most complete package. And it's a really cool game and a total real accomplishment, a fun kind of platformer with light action adventure elements, just a really creative game that's all about collaboration, playing together. And it really does accomplish that, like empowering the players and making players feel like they really are working together. This is a game where you play as a married couple who are like, they're about to get a divorce, and it's about working together to kind of fix the relationship. And it's got some brilliant moments. There's an incredible part where you're going through essentially like an old collection of your favorite records, and you're jumping in and out of like music history through record covers essentially. That's cool as hell, but it is a co-op only experience. And yes, we've ranked a multiplayer game at the bottom as well. We all debate multiplayer games as like a real game of the year, as a good representation, a game you can't really play by yourself. But we just still have this one at number 9 because what we have here is just more of a complete video game package than something like Overwatch, but still not necessarily the depth, the story. I don't think the story is always firing on all cylinders. Some of the script could be a little cheesy. There is a book in here with a kind of offensive accent, I think. It's a little weird. And there is the infamous elephant scene. I don't want to go into too much detail for spoiler's sake, but there is a scene that is jarringly dark, and man, that's worth talking about at least. But this game did win that year. What did it beat? So, it beat Resident Evil Village, Metroid Dread, Psychonauts 2, Deathloop, and Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. Again, a weird year, but a lot of those, apparently maybe critically acclaimed or reviewed highly, just ended up not being the most memorable to some people. And with that, it leaves It Takes Two sitting here at number 9. Next at number 8, we have Astrobot. Yes, the 2024 Game of the Year is Astrobot, a platformer. The little robot guy won. He beat out Black Myth Wukong and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It's just wild. Probably the simplest game here, like it is very, very simple, very distilled down, but it is an awesome game. It's a complete package. It's got everything you could want from an old school platformer. It is really a love letter mostly to PlayStation fans, and I think that's another thing that gives me pause and stops me from putting it really, really high on the list. Because I'm going to be honest, a lot of this Game of the Year stuff is how you feel about it. Our discussions about these games, all of our baggage and thoughts and opinions on these games come into how we're ranking this. And Astrobot is definitely a PlayStation love letter. It is a way to get people who bought a PS5 or got a PS5 bundle, a family member, or someone who doesn't play games a lot, a really good game to get them started. And it is really good. It's just smartly designed, incredibly well thought out. Things like good collectibles that encourage you to explore and incentives to really collect all of the stuff. But I just think when it comes to Game of the Year winners, like the juggernauts, I don't know if an Astrobot belongs there. Like on a personal level, I think it's an incredible game. Again, an incredible achievement, but I don't think it necessarily has like the heft, the meat of like a true Game of the Year contender. But here we go. The Game Awards said differently, so topped on the list, here it is at number 8. Now at number 7, we have Sekiro Shadows Die Twice from 2019. You believe it or not, a From Software game has fallen down on this list, and very much their fans are hardcore, some would argue sometimes a little overzealous. But I gotta say, when it comes down to some of the best in the series, Sekiro like really worked for me. The setting, the atmosphere, jumping off of like getting out of Dark Souls land and jumping into what they did with Sekiro here with the big, giant, crazy bosses was awesome. I like the stuff with if you die, it leaves things harder. I like the actual platforming and traversal and getting through the world really worked here for me. Parrying felt good. All of the things you do, all of the killing you do is just satisfying. But I think ultimately, while it is a critical darling, I think it just is lacking some of the license or story or heft or wow factor of some of the other From Software games just a little bit. That year, 2019, it beat out Control, which was a great Remedy game, Death Stranding, which was a hot topic, and it also beat out Resident Evil 2, which still to this day, I'm surprised it was nominated for a Game of the Year because it is like a remake, but it really looked like they were trying to make it a legit contender. But at the end of the day, Sekiro won, it is beloved, it also won a lot of other awards. It was award season, darling. So yeah, personally, I think it totally deserves that it managed to grab as the overall game winner, but here on our list, just at number 7. Coming in at number 6, The Last of Us Part 2 won in 2020. So it beat out Hades that year, which is interesting, along with Doom Eternal and Animal Crossing: New Horizons. Definitely one of the most divisive Game of the Year winners. This was one where people were screaming from either side. Some people said, yes, it finally won. Oh my God, this is great, thank God. And other people were like, what the hell? Absolutely not, no. Like you would think that admitting this game won the award was going to cause the end of civilization. They said if The Last of Us Part 2 could be Game of the Year, humanity is unsalvageable. But jokes aside, it is at number 6 because I think it's middle of the road. It is a critical darling. They put a lot of work into this game. There are some contentious things, how they handle some returning characters, and Abby, you either love her or you hate her. Gotta say I did not love her, and I think that was a kind of intentional. There's some stuff going on there, but it is bold. We're talking bold and risky for a sequel to The Last of Us, which is a huge hit. If they were going to make a part 2, it was going to be a smash hit as long as it was good, but they put some dicey stuff in there, especially with the ending, and I commend them for that. Tackling like cycles of revenge and trauma and PTSD, the types of things that they poke and prod Ellie on in this game, and the things they put Ellie through in this game are absolutely brutal. And they put the player in some challenging situations to deal with it or experience it. And it's not an easy story, it's not a joyful story. I would argue it's less joyful than the first game, but it looks gorgeous. The gameplay is good like the first one, just kind of slowed down to a crawl even more. Really emphasizes that scavenging and crawling through the grass, hiding, that type of thing, all while just staying really grounded and brutal. Even more brutal than the first one. It's not a perfect game, but I do think it is probably a pretty decent Game of the Year winner, because it's like definitely an interesting game. Now, coming in at number 5, God of War, the winner of the 2018 Game Award. It's funny because that year, Red Dead Redemption 2 was a major contender. Red Dead won Best Narrative and several other awards, but Game of the Year, of course, went to the hardworking, beardy boy game, God of War. This was an incredible reboot for the franchise, featuring a fresh gameplay style, a one-shot camera with unbroken cuts throughout the entire game, and a little kid, Atreus, for you to cart around. The presentation was nothing short of stunning. On top of that, the hack-and-slash combat was just super fun, evolving and escalating in complexity as the game progressed. You also had a fantastic supporting cast. The dwarves, Mimir, the talking head, and plenty of other memorable characters who carried over into God of War, Ragnarok. Between these two games, you get a tight, emotionally charged story, surprisingly deep for a game about an angry man beating the crap out of everything. It's not the longest or the most complex game in the world, but it delivers an incredibly well-rounded and engaging experience. Whether you're a Sony fanboy or not, you have to admit there's some great stuff here. Kratos and Atreus, their motion capture, their acting, their evolving relationship, it's all seriously impressive. And on the gameplay side, throwing that Leviathan axe, mastering all the different combat moves and abilities, man, this game really is the whole package. And for that, it absolutely deserves its spot at number 5. Then at number 4, we have 2023 Game of the Year, Baldur's Gate 3. Yeah, controversial maybe to have it at number 4, but I'll show you what. This 2023 was an incredible year for games. And this is like a very, very deserving winner. I think Swen Vinke from Larian Studios with his funky shoes, he's one of the most well-deserved people to be up on that stage accepting an award. Him and that whole studio have been busting their ass for so long making these epic, nerdy CRPG experiences. And Baldur's Gate 3 is really like what helped them just slam into the mainstream. This game is awesome. It's D&D rolled up in a ball. It just feels, the design of it, feels like classic Western RPG design from the old days at its finest. There's so much freedom. There's so many RPG mechanics. There's so much dialogue. There's so many turns and twists and choices. It has all the things, all that you expect from it. A good BioWare RPG and more, and this isn't even BioWare. But on top of that, the crazy amount of work they put into it by giving you essentially like a multiplayer mode where you can have people be your dungeon master that is fully realized and people are still running it and having a good time with that. This game is also very, very complex, very long, very jam-packed with stuff. And it's really hard. You don't often get critically acclaimed award-winning games that are this deep, especially in recent years. Consumer base is probably a little bit more casual, but no. They went all in with Baldur's Gate 3, making a full-blown, really deep RPG that you really want to geek out to. They were bold, they put a lot of money into this, and it paid off because people love this stuff if it's good, and this was good. That being said, it's just not completely our favorite in terms of all the games of the year because, well, frankly, these top 4 definitely are juggernauts. Now next over at number 3, in 2015, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt was the Game of the Year winner, and I stand behind that and I stand behind it here at number 3. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is one of the best games of all time, assuming the sequel doesn't somehow mess it up. I don't know how they would do that, but who knows. But The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is incredible. It is one of the rare times where a gigantic, massive, epic RPG is just on the full technical level, on the full production level, music, graphics, acting, camera work, everything here is top-notch. This game keeps you in it, and it keeps you moving, and it keeps you gripped, and it's huge. You have great main quests. You have great side quests. You have You have all types of mystical weird shots. You got cool DLCs that just made the game even better. The Game of the Year edition gives you a super long, fulfilling game. If you haven't played it yet, you get so much. It is undeniably a banger of a game. And I also think what makes it a good Game of the Year winner is the fact that it was universal. It had more of a mainstream reach than just your average RPG people. Like usually, it's the RPG nerds like me jumping in and getting lost in these worlds. But The Witcher 3 captured everybody. It got everyone on board, and that is an accomplishment, especially considering I didn't think like the first Witcher was going to blow the doors off the world. And then with Witcher 2, it got closer and you're like, man, these guys are getting better at making games. And then Witcher 3 finally rolled around, and not only was it reward-winning and critically acclaimed, but it was massive. It was also all over people's Game of the Year lists. And I mean, hell, we could talk about it all day. And I think this one, it just is deserving of the praise. Now down at number 2, in 2022, Elden Ring took the spotlight. This was From Software winning again after Sekiro, and I think it was deserved. This was another one, people were mad and happy about it, but they were mad for the best reasons, like, okay, a lot more people got into this type of game because Elden Ring was incredibly commercially successful. But on top of that, tons of people still just don't want a From Software game to win because they're like, those games should not dictate what a Game of the Year looks like, because those games are hard. They're not for everyone. And while I think that is a fair-ish discussion to be had, because these games are not your typical crowd-pleasing audience, like everybody can pick up and play it type of game, you gotta give it to Elden Ring. At least for me, the reason it's at number 2 here is it takes what makes those Dark Souls, From Software games so special and takes it to the open world. Did I like the open world gimmick? Did I think they stuck the landing with their open world design? Absolutely not, but did they take the incredible level, the mystery, the sense of discovery from those games and ramp it up in an open world? Absolutely, they did. Exploring this game was an absolute treat. The biomes, leaping from place to place, finding just like all these crazy new spots is incredible. And then of course, you're doing that all mixture with the incredible game design, combat, and challenge of a From Software game. Also, some great boss design, some incredible scenes, just some moments where the game really puts it all on display really make for what I think is another deserving Game of the Year winner. Now finally at number 1, if you're keeping score, you probably know what we have. Yes, it is The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild came out in 2017. That was an awesome year for games. Yes, it did beat out Mario Odyssey and Horizon Zero Dawn and a bunch of other bangers. 2017 Game of the Year winner, but I stand by it for a lot of reasons. Okay, I'm a little bit of a traditional Zelda fan. The Zelda game before this was kind of a misfire to me. I really didn't like it, and at this point, they were going to change things up. They jumped out with an open world. They just gave us a full-blown open world game, and that makes it actually incredible with the open world is so incredibly realized with just how much freedom you have. The systems here, all the sandbox stuff that you can do is on another level. Satisfaction of learning to hold and maximize and overpower it, a little bit of the combat is just so good. This is an open world game that it's pretty huge, but it never feels like you're just running around a big open space. It feels like you are constantly exploring. It's constantly engaging, and it tells all those stories with its world. The character of traversing and exploring this world is what carried most of the story and did it incredibly well. Of course, you got some dank caverns and dungeons and you're fighting these crazy ancient robots. Like this game is, oh man, it really does click all of the boxes, and it is, for me, one of the best Game of the Year winners. At least the Game Awards really nailed it with this one. So yeah, that's how I would rank all of these Game of the Year winners. By the way, this is my first time narrating on this channel, and if you enjoy seeing me here, be sure to leave a comment below. Thanks for sticking with me until the end.